Chapter 11. The Chapter of Hod, containing 120 and 3 verses, written at Mecca. And we also don't have the Alif Lamra Tilka Til Kitab al-Hakim. This isn't made as clear. For some reason, they're leaving off the separated letters. In the name of God, gracious and merciful, I am the merciful God. The signs contained in this book are most true. They proceed from the most wise, who knoweth all things. Worship ye but one God alone. I preach to you from him the torments of hell, and declare the joys of paradise, that ye may implore pardon of his divine majesty, and be converted. He shall give you an happy life in this world until the time appointed, and shall reward everyone according to his works. I fear lest you should be chastised at the day of judgment, if ye forsake the right way. You all shall be assembled before God to be judged. The heart of the impious inclined to hatred of the prophet, and they would have concealed themselves for some time from God. They are covered with their garments, that they may not be known. But God knoweth what is in their souls. He understandeth what they conceal, and whatsoever they make manifest. All the creatures of the world live of his grace. He knoweth the place of their repair, and the place where they must die. All is written in an intelligible book that explaineth all things. It is that created heaven and earth in 6 days. Time periods, not necessarily the same as our days. His throne was before upon the waters. The Al-Quran exhorteth you to well-doing. If thou sayest to the wicked that they shall rise again after their death, they will say it is but witchcraft and sorcery. If we retard some time to chastise them, they say there is no punishment for their crimes, but they shall not avoid it in the day when it shall appear, and they shall feel the rigor of the pains which they condemn. If we confer riches and health on the impious, and deprive them of them, they despair in their impiety. If we give them good after their evil, they say misery hath forsaken them. They rejoice and become arrogant. Such as are humble and patient in their afflictions, and do good works, shall obtain pardon of their sins, and a very great reward. Perhaps thou wilt forget to teach something of what I have inspired into thee, and be afflicted because they say that what thou speakest shall bring thee no profit. Certainly thou art sent only to reprove them of their sin. Thy Lord is omnipotent, and shall chastise them after their demerits. Assuredly they will say thou hast forged Al-Quran, and that it is of thy invention. Say unto them, come and bring with you 10 chapters of your invention, like to Al-Quran in instruction and eloquence, and call to your aid the idols, partners, not just idols, that ye adore. Y'all as if they're gods. If you be righteous, they hear not your prayers, neither afford you succors. Know then that Al-Quran descended from heaven through God's permission, and that there is but one sole God. Will ye not trust in him? I will bestow the riches and honors of the earth on many persons that affect them, and in the end they shall be confined in the fire of hell. And the good works that they shall do in this world shall be unprofitable in the other. They who observe what God hath ordained, study Al-Quran, and believe that it proceedeth from his divine majesty to teach the right way, and to obtain his mercy, as before it was the book of Moses. Such as shall believe in Al-Quran shall be happy. Doubtless the fire of hell is prepared for the misbelievers who will not believe therein. But the greatest part of the world is incredulous, who is more impious than they that blaspheme against God. Such men shall not see his face. The angels shall say at the day of judgment, behold them that have been impious. A curse is upon them and upon the unjust that have misled the people from the right way. They were indeed misbelievers. Such men shall not escape the punishment of their crimes on earth. They shall find none that is able to protect them but God. He shall augment their pains because they would not abandon their wickedness, neither receive the light of faith. Such are miserable men. Their idols shall not afford them succors. They doubtless shall be eternally damned. And such as shall believe in God, do good works, and be converted, shall dwell forever in paradise. The wicked are as deaf and blind, and the true believers are like those who have good sight and perfect hearing. Shall they be in parallel to each other? We'll never consider it. We sent Noah to reprove men for their sins. He said to them, worship but one God alone. Otherwise, I fear ye shall be chastised at the day of judgment. The doctors of the misbelievers answered him, we see thee to be a man like us, and that such as follow thee are poor people, blind and without counsel. We perceive not that thou hast any grace that ought to prefer thee to us. Contrariwise, we believe thee to be a liar. He said, O people, know ye not that God hath taught me what I preach to you, and that he hath given me the grace of prophecy, and deprived you of it? Shall I exhort you to acknowledge his grace, seeing ye abhor it? O people, I require no recompense of you for my pains. God will reward me largely. I desire not to banish true believers from my company. They shall one day appear before their Lord, but I perceive that ye are ignorant, O people. Who shall hinder God to punish me? If I abuse true believers, will ye not consider it? I say not that I profess the treasures of God. I know not what shall be. I say not that I am an angel. I say not to them who ye contemn, that God shall enrich them. God knoweth what is in their souls. Should I maintain such discourse, I should have to blame. They said, O Noah, we have a long time disputed together. If thou art sincere, let us see the pains which thou preachest to us. God, said he, when it shall please him, shall cause you to see them. You shall not escape them. My instruction shall be to you unprofitable if God will prove you. He is your Lord, and you shall one day be assembled before him to be judged. Will the unbelievers say that thou hast forged Al-Quran, and that it is of thine invention? Say unto them, if I have invented it, sin will be upon me, and I am innocent of your blasphemies. God inspired into Noah that none should believe in his words, but such as had already believed in him. He said unto him, build an ark conformable to the inspiration that we have sent thee, but speak no more to me of the unjust. They shall be drowned. The passengers derided him and his ark. He said to them, ye scoff at me, I will laugh at you, and we shall see them that shall best understand. He whom God shall chastise shall be covered with shame and perpetually tormented. When our will was to destroy that people, and the light of the morning appeared, and the water boiled in Noah's pot, stirred up and overflowed. Like the Bosphorus flood, basically. We commanded him to charge his ark, his barge, with 2 beasts of every kind and species. Well, not every kind of species, but 2 of certain types. All creatures were destroyed except those of which we before made mention, as well such as believed as them that did not believe, and that but a few. Noah said unto them, Ascend the ark in the name of God, who shall cause it to swim and to anchor. The Lord is gracious and merciful towards us. When the ark began to float, like to a mountain, Noah called to one of his sons who stayed on the earth and said, My son, come up into the ark with us, and remain not with the misbelievers. He answered, I will ascend an high mountain that shall save me from the waters. Noah said to him, None is able this day to deliver thee from the punishment of God, if it be not through his mercy. The waters being risen, he was in the number of them that were drowned. God commanded the earth to drink its water, and the heavens to pour down no more rain. The water diminished upon the earth after the people were drowned, and the ark rested upon the mountain. Well, we'd probably say hill nowadays, called Jeudi. So one of the low mountains of Ararat, one of the low hills of Ararat. Thus were the unjust exterminated in the waters. Thus were the unjust extirpated. Noah prayed to his Lord and said, Lord, my son that remained in the waters was of my lineage. Thou didst promise me to save my family. Thou dost exactly perform thy promise. Thou art true in thy words and most just in thine afflictions and thine actions. O Noah, answered God, thy son was not of thy lineage. Lineage and teaching. He hath offended me and disobeyed my commandments. Do not inquire of me concerning that which thou oughtest not to know, otherwise thou shalt be in the number of the ignorant. Lord, said Noah, I will take heed through thine assistance to inquire of thee what I ought not to know. If thou hast not pity on me, I shall be in the number of the miserable. God said, O Noah, descend from the ark with salvation and blessing upon thee and upon part of them that are with thee. I will enrich the other part with the wealth of this world, to punish them most severely at the day of judgment. I teach what shall be, what neither thou nor thy people have not yet known. Be patient in thine afflictions. Paradise is for them that have my fear before their eyes. We sent Hod to the people of Ad, his brother. He said unto them, O people, adore but one God alone, otherwise ye shall be in the number of misbelievers. I require of you no recompense for the pains I take in preaching to you. He that created me shall reward me. Will ye never be wise? Implore pardon of God, be converted, and obey his divine will. He shall send you rain from heaven, and shall increase your strength and riches. Be not in the number of the wicked. They answered, O Hod, thou showest us no reasons to prove thy sayings. Thy word shall not make us to quit our gods. What they consider to be such anyways. We give no credit to thy discourse, and tell thee that some one of our gods shall severely chastise thee. He said, take God and yourselves to witness that I am innocent of the sin that ye commit in adoring idols, taking partners with divinity. If you conspire against me, none shall be able to protect you at the day of judgment. I recommend myself to the will of God, mine and your Lord. He conserveth all the creatures of the earth and loveth them that follow the right way. I have discharged my duty and my commission. I have taught you what God commanded me. If you go astray, he shall establish another people in your place. You do him no harm through your impiety. He exactly observeth whatsoever is done in the world. When we destroyed that people, we by our especial grace delivered Hod from their malice, and all the true believers that were with him. We delivered them from great affliction. The people of Hod contemned the commandments of God and disobeyed his prophets. They followed the will of the obstinate, who were cursed in this world and shall be accursed at the day of judgment, because they disobeyed his divine majesty with design to extirpate the people of Hod, or his brother. The people of Hod, his brother, we sent Saleh to Tamad, his brother, and his people. He said to them, O people, worship one God alone. It is he who created you of the dust of the earth and filled it with many sorts of fruits, that ye may inhabit it. Beg pardon of him and be converted. He hearkeneth to his creatures and heareth their prayers. They answered, O Saleh, it was hoped thou wouldst have been our captain before the prohibition was made to adore what they consider to be the gods of our fathers. We exceedingly doubt of what thou preachest. O people, said Saleh, know ye not that God taught me what to you I preach, and that he hath given me his grace, who shall protect me if I disobey him? You can but augment my pain, should I believe you. O people, this camel, which God for you hath created, shall be to you a miracle, an instruction. Suffer it to feed, and do it no harm, lest ye be suddenly chastised. They, through contempt, wounded the camel. Then said he unto them, Ye shall live in your houses for the space of 3 days before ye shall be destroyed. What is foretold to you is no fiction. When we destroyed them, we, through our special grace, saved Saleh and the true believers that were with him. Thunder surprised those misbelievers. In the morning they were found in their houses, dead, extended as carcasses. And thus did Tamad and his people contemned the commandments of God to their disadvantage. Our messengers that came to Abraham's house declared to him the birth of Isaac, Jacob, and their posterity. They miraculously saluted. When they entered into his house, he caused roasted flesh to be brought to them to eat, and perceiving that they did not eat, contemned them in himself, and he was terrified with their coming. They said unto him, Fear not, we are sent to Lot to extirpate the inhabitants of this city. Abraham's wife, being present, began to laugh when they foretold the birth of Isaac, Jacob, and their posterity. She said, Ah, God, shall I have a son, I who am old, and have an husband extremely aged? And this would be a miracle. They answered, Are ye astonished at the power of God, O ye of the family of Abraham? God hath given you his blessing. Praise and glory are due to him in all places. When Abraham was freed from his fear, and they having announced the birth of his children, he disputed with them a long time touching the inhabitants of the city of Lot. He was of a mild disposition, and frequently repeated the praises of God. The messengers said unto him, O Abraham, put an end to thy questions. The hour is come wherein God hath commanded to destroy them. They shall undergo inevitable torments. When they arrived in Lot's house, he was grieved in that he was not able to secure them from the insolence of the people. He said, Behold, here a day extremely difficult to pass. The inhabitants of the city, having knowledge of their arrival, repaired to Lot's house to continue their filthiness. Lot said unto them, O people, I have 2 daughters, whom I will give you. Fear God, trouble me not, abuse not my guest. Is there none among you to show you your error? They answered, Thou well knowest that we have nothing to do with thy daughters. Thou knowest what we require. He said, Were I of sufficient power, I would dwell in a fortified place to avoid the assaults of your malice. Then said the messenger of God unto him, O Lot, we are angels sent from God. Those villains shall not approach thee. Go this night out of the city with thy family. None shall look back but thy wife. She shall feel the punishment prepared for the wicked. They shall be punished early in the morning. Be gone speedily. The day approacheth when we destroyed them. We turned the city upside down and caused it to rain upon them stones marked with fire to confound them. Such chastisement is not far from the misbelievers that are in Mecca. We sent Chabe into the country of Madian. He said, O people, I worship one God alone. Weigh with good weights and measure with good measure. Detain nothing from your neighbor and defile not the truth. If ye believe in God, otherwise I fear you may be punished at the day of judgment. The little that shall remain shall bring ye more of content than all that ye can purloin in weighing with false weights and measuring with false measure. I am not sent to be your tutor, but only to declare the word of God. They said, O Chabe, doth thy law enjoin us to abandon what we consider to be the gods of our fathers, and hinder us to make of our goods what shall esteem good to us? Thou art not of an humor good enough to be our director. He said, O people, see ye not that God hath taught me what I preach? He hath given me wealth for subsistence. I contradict you in nothing but what is forbidden you. I will do nothing but what is reasonable and conform the most. I shall be able to justice. My whole support is God. I recommend myself to the will of his divine majesty, before which I must one day appear. O people, take heed, lest ye become criminal if ye forsake the company of the righteous, and lest that befall you that happened to them who would not believe Noah, Han, Selah, and Lot. The punishment of God is not far from you. Beg pardon of him and be converted. He is merciful and amiable. And they said, O Chabe, we understand not all that thou sayest. We see thee amongst us without force and power. Wert thou not accompanied, we would stone thee. Thou shalt have no dominion over us. He said, O people, esteem ye my company and fear ye it more than God. Have ye turned the back towards him? He knoweth all your actions. Live after your own manner. I will live after mine. You shall hereafter know your error. He whom God shall chastise shall remain in perpetual misery. You shall soon understand who shall be the liar. You or I expect the issue. I will expect with you. When we commanded to destroy them, we, through our special grace, preserved Chabe. and the true believers that were with him. Thunder surprised those wicked ones, and they in the morning remained dead, extended as carcasses in their houses. And thus were the inhabitants of Madian chastised like the people of Tamad. We sent Moses to Pharaoh and his doctors with miracles, with arguments and reasons, most clear and intelligible. But those doctors followed his will and obeyed his commandments, notwithstanding they were contrary to reason. They shall follow them at the day of judgment, as they followed him upon the earth. That day shall they be accursed, and shall find none that shall be able to protect them. The punishment of Mecca shall be like that I relate to thee. There be of its inhabitants who subsist, and those who do not subsist, and are no more. We have done them no injustice. They have drawn mischief on themselves and their idols, the partners they take in divinity, as those who they take as partners in divinity, have been of no use to them, but to augment their misery, when God hath commanded to destroy them. Thus hath God surprised the inhabitants of Mecca, he hath chastised them because they were unjust. This shall serve for example to them that fear the day of judgment. All men shall there be gathered together, all the world shall see it. I will retard it until the time appointed. That day shall no man speak without my permission. There be that shall be miserable, and others who shall be happy. The miserable shall dwell in the fire of hell. They shall cry and complain so long as the earth and the heavens shall endure, and so long as it shall please God, who doth as seem good to himself. The happy shall enjoy paradise, where they shall abide eternally, so long as the earth and heaven shall endure, and so long as it shall please God. Doubt not what the unbelievers worship, they adore, but the idols, the partners, which their fathers worshipped. Surely I will chastise them as their fathers were chastised. Moses preached the truth represented by part of the Old Testament, yet did the wicked contradict his precepts? Had not God said that he would not punish them until the day of judgment? He had already destroyed them because they are an exceeding great error. Thy Lord shall reward everyone according to his works. He knoweth all their actions. Observe exactly what hath been commanded you. With them that are converted, transgress not the law of God. He beholdeth whatsoever ye do. Incline not to infect the affections of the unjust, lest the fire of hell surprise surprise you, and you be deprived of protection. Pray to God evening and morning and part of the night. Prayer enjoins, it is the doctrine of preachers, be patient, persevere. God will not deprive the righteous of their reward. Of your predecessors and of their posterity to defile the earth. Nevertheless, there were few among them that abstained the unjust, acted whatever pleased them, and were guilty before God. He shall not destroy Mecca if the inhabitants thereof obey his commandments, and if it pleased him, the whole world should be one religion, system of judgment as well. They to whom he giveth his grace transgress not his will. His word shall be accomplished, and hell shall be filled with devils, and the wicked of all nations. They have recounted to thee, and thou understandest whatsoever things are necessary for them, and what the prophets have heretofore taught. Thine heart hath been strengthened. They contain the truth, and they shall be for lesson to true believers. Say unto the misbelievers, do on your part as ye shall understand, and we will do on our part as we understand, and attend the issue. We will attend it with you. Whatsoever is in heaven and in earth appertains to God. All men shall be assembled before him. Worship him, resign yourselves to his will. He knoweth whatsoever the people doeth. And there's some parts here that were more difficult than usual to read, and we'll try here to read them. But one of the things is that we should want more than just merely inherited religion. And nations are not just going to live out their term, whatever that term is. They're going to live out their term, but there's cause behind. There's actions and beliefs and stuff that do and undo nations. Now, there is some, it appears there was blood on this copy in some places, but here towards the end, there's coffee. So incline not to the affections of the unjust, lest the fire of hell surprise you and you be deprived of protection. Pray to God evening and morning and part of the night. Prayer of horizons is the doctrine of preachers. Be patient and persevere. God will not deprive the righteous of their reward. He prohibited your predecessors and their posterity to defile the earth. Nevertheless, there were few among them that abstained, and the unjust acted whatever pleased them, and they were guilty before God. Okay, well. And be careful, particularly with the scriptures among your religious text. You know, handle them with clear hands. Don't eat over them. Not only in terms of preserving the actual book itself, but out of respect, it's an important thing to try to pick up.